the Rufus Opus show, the Apocalypse. The Ropocalypse, which is nigh. It is nigh upon us, everybody. The Ropocalypse. Yeah, so the apocalypse, by the way, is, it means revelation. It means it used to be just sort of like a spiritual manifesto back in the day when apocalypses were being written. John the Baptist's Apocalypse was like the spiritual manifesto, and gosh darn it, we're telling you how it's going to be. So anyway, when I say this show is the Ropocalypse, that's what I'm talking about. I'm telling the world how I think it ought to be. Very opinionated, very full of myself, as it were. But I mean, honestly, it's deserved. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, today I want to talk about what it's like when you manifest a new world. All right, I talk quite a bit about how we're all parts of the all thing. We're part of Zeus the head, Zeus the middle, Zeus the all in all, the whole Neoplatonic spiritual structure. Yeah, anyway, the whole Neoplatonic spiritual structure, all that stuff. And how there's like one thing, and then the one thing created everything else in its own image. And we have like spirits that we talk to with magic and with where are those things at? Let me get rid of this. The pinnacles, the planetary talismans, right? Oops. Yeah. So like the planetary talismans, I thought I had all of them. Anyway, but the names of the spirits and the names of the spirits from the Key of Solomon talismans, the methods of magic that we use to actually conjure the spirits into being using this whole noetic, this whole, let me see, do I have yeah, okay, so here's this, this noetic structure of Hermeticism, the idea that everything comes out of this noetic source and then manifests here below after it goes through the seven spheres, right? And the seven spheres each have an archangel, and this actually shows the choirs of angels with them, right? But it's like all of this whole world that we live in, is. I thought I had all of that on there. Gosh darn it! This whole thing that we're a part of is part of this overwhelming, not overwhelming, overarching chain of manifestation, right? This flow of ideas as they come down from the mind of God down through the seven spheres, through the different planetary energies, and into the material world, where it's passed over to the four elemental stuff. This is all stuff from the whole Corpus Hermeticum, the 3 books of occult philosophy. This whole process of manifestation and the magic that comes out of it, the systems of occult practice that we have from the 16th century grimoires of conjuring angels and demons and performing the processes of the great work. All that stuff is predicated on this understanding of a cosmology where you're a manifestation of this noetic source, and you received the authority to conjure these spirits, and it's spelled out very clearly in the Corpus Hermeticum and the Divine Pymander. I don't have it up right now. Let's see. Usually have that one open. Sacred texts. Yeah, Pymander. Right. So in the all right. So what in the... Oh, right, because that's funny. Okay, so in the Divine Pymander, in the Corpus Hermeticum, it talks about this whole process of manifestation and how everything came into being, and it's not disputable. Okay, this is one of those indisputable things, right? That this core philosophy forms the structure of most 16th century grimoire magic, that anything that puts the magician in the authority position over the spirits that manifest our material world, which is what 16th century occultism teaches. Any system that puts the magician into that form of authority is going to be sorry, if you were chatting to me, I just got my chats. I haven't seen anything that anybody's written so far. I apologize. But hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great weekend. But anyway, my point is that this is just the basic cosmology of existence. All right. I don't want to argue with people that it doesn't have to be that way. If you get into the pre-Socratic people like, Jake Stratton Kent used to argue with me about whether or not Neoplatonism was Neoplatonism before Neoplatonists came along and ruined it, and I agree that the church ruined everything. I think Christianity is to blame for most of the things that bother us in life today. But that it's not Christianity's fault. It's the evil men who take advantage of it and use it to manipulate other people, which is the true evil, in my opinion, on planet Earth, is when humans make other humans suffer. Which is what I want to talk about later today. But that's the true definition of evil, is this manifestation cycle here, this materialization cycle of which we're a part. We're one of these invisible spirits. We're also the human being who's the fulcrum between the above and the below, who manifests things, and we're made in the image of our divine source, and we speak things into being. That's why Hermetics is the magic of Thoth, the Egyptian god of speaking, and Hermes is the god of language in the same way through Thoth. The whole reason that Hermetic magic is Hermetic is because the god of writing and speaking invisible things in symbolic forms into being is what the process is that we learn when we practice magic and we study magic and we study these texts and all this stuff. But the idea that there was something else instead, right? Instead of there being this noetic mind and this middle layer and the physical layer, and those are the three worlds according to basic Neoplatonism, that there was instead just there's only this physical world and there's life that permeates through it, right? If you look at the sources of Neoplatonism and you find Orphism, for example, you find a mystery tradition that has the same core concepts in a more rudimentary form, right? That doesn't require all these explicitly detailed layers of qualities and principles. It's all there if you look for it, but it's not explicitly defined and codified and turned into a system that can be manipulated by mental gymnastics and people with columns and spreadsheets. It's not that. If you look at the pre-Socratic expressions of the mysteries of Zeus and of Aphrodite, the Orphic mysteries, the Mithraic mysteries, the mysteries of the Gnostics, the mysteries of the Essenes, the mysteries of the early Christians before the Romans fucked it all up, if you look at the core essence of the Middle Eastern core, whatever, of modern, of our part of modern civilization, that if you're watching this, you're probably interested in. We all come from this basic understanding that there's one big spirit that manifests as all these other spirits that then intermingles with everything else and becomes our world, right? And there's different stories for this process, but it's still pretty much the same thing. You start with chaos, and then out of chaos emerges night, and after night comes stars, and you get the Gaia comes out, and you have she manifests Uranus to have sex with, because when after her comes Eros and Ananke, necessity, right? As soon as lust and need came into being, necessity, all of a sudden Gaia had to have somebody to have sex with, and we ended up with Sky God, right? So that's how Uranus got, according to some Orphic traditions. Anyway, the point is there's different stories for this one story that underlies everything. And I know a lot of people have argued about this, and I don't want to argue with it, but this is just this is just basics, guys. This is just basics. The mystery of mysteries should be something that we accept and understand and integrate into our lives, so that we can move on from the, oh my God, we're all one thing, and isn't it beautiful? Aleister Crowley talks about how after you achieve KNCHGA, you go through this period of like acting like a dipshit, and it's you're very full of yourself, and you're the one is the all, and Kether is in Malkuth, man, and and you're being very performative in your expressions of your serotonin and your dopamine that's being released through your spiritual attainments, right? The joy that comes from understanding how things work and finding out that you weren't fucking stupid. You were right about the things that you just didn't know how to explain and understand and interact with. And as you go through these spiritual awakenings, you have these transformations that release pain, and when the pain is gone, you get joy, and this joy comes in and it releases brain chemicals, and it makes you kind of dippy, and if you're ADHD to start with, it can kick you up into a manic cycle for sure, and that's why creative geniuses get all up on these manic cycles. You get into this process of transformation and getting better about things, and it just releases so much more energy in it. If you don't direct it and keep it contained within, so this whole system that we're a part of, this thing that's alluded to here, is this manifestation process of the invisible, right? It was described as the superheated, super purified air, rarefied air, or super purified. I'm still not seeing any messages here. I don't know if you guys aren't messaging me, that's cool. But if you are messaging me, I'm seeing it. So no, nobody's talking to me. Interesting. Quiet people. Okay. Yeah, it's probably because the last couple of weeks I got stoned and I wasn't paying attention. I forgot to talk to anybody. Yeah. So anyway, the point was, back when I had a point. The point was, this process of which we're all a part is the movement of this rarefied air, right? That like if you talk to Anaximenes and starts with a P. Oh my God, Theocritus doesn't start with a P, but I mean Theocritus. Anyway, the early Greeks. Actually, I probably have it here on. But the early Greeks talked about. Let's see, do I have pre-Socratic text here? Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of research while we talk here, because why not? No, I mean, they do have it here, but I can't find it in an easy way, of course. Late Roman, 250. Oh, here we go, 300 BC. All right, okay. All right, maybe. Aldorus, Herodotus, the Orphichems, pattern poems. Okay, so the Orphichems were 300 to 100 BC. Aeschylus, Americans, Hesiod, epic cycle of fragments. Doesn't have anything in the pre-Socratics. Sorry. Anaximenes and the guy who said that all that is fire. Anyway, I can't remember his name. But these pre-Socratics taught that the rarefication of the air, the superheatedness of air, is how we got fire, and the super specializedness of air is the divine essence itself, right? And that divine essence is the breath of life, the breath of movement that exists through all things that manifest within the confines of time and space. It starts with air, it starts with breath. All of our words for spirit go back to breath: ruach, spirit, ghost. I think diamond and angel diamond and angeloi are both messenger. But if you look at the root words for messenger, those go back to the words and the speaking of words and the breath that actually speaks it, right? So it goes back to this essence, this divine essence, this noetic source that manifests in all things, is as all pervading as air itself, which even we find air in the water, we find air in ourselves, we breathe in the air. If you crack open rocks, gases escape. We know that air is in everything, right? And that air that is in everything, in the same way that air is in everything, the divine essence is also in everything, right? So this divine essence then manifests in everything through these spirits as what we experience, right? Forgot where I was going with all that. But yeah, so this very basic concept of manifestation. Oh, right. So we're the ones that draw these invisible things from this rarefied state into this dense experiential moment where we can interact with it with our eyes and our ears and our nose and our words and our thoughts and our emotions, and have an experience and take that back and turn it into a memory, right? We do all that here in this material world through our choices, through our expressions of our intent, through our responses and reactions to events as they happen to us, right? This noetic spirit, this fiery essence of all things, is manifesting as our experienced world on a regular basis. You know, it's everywhere and it's everything, you know. But we get caught up in it, right? We get caught up in this manifestation of stuff, right? But the human being itself, right? Us, the magicians, right? The people who study these ancient texts and learn that the invisible, that fire manifests itself into this material world through directed intent expressed through symbols, right? The first people that drew cows on the wall trying to get cows to show up in their world were capturing the spirit of cow and the symbol of cow and projecting it into their material world, right? That's what our earliest cave paintings have been interpreted to mean, right? It's how you get cows when you're hunting cows and you need cows to live on. But it's basically always been a thing with us. We encapsulate what we want to be true in a symbol, and we put it down somewhere where we can express it to other people to encode that reality that we want to express to other people into their reality. We create symbols that mean the same thing to two different people so that we have a shared reality. That's what magic is about, right? And we don't, as magicians, we don't work with people as much as we work with the spirits. We conjure the spirits here in 16th century magical practices. You know, all the spirits that manifest these powers in the material world, that's how we do it, is through their symbols, right? We agree that these symbols, when we call on these spirits by these symbols, they're going to show up, and they're going to bring with them the energies that they represent, the qualities of these seven spheres that make up every experience that we have here in this material world, right? This core process is key to understanding how to materialize your new world. Okay, so first of all, you have to understand that this is how things come into being in the Hermetic sense, right? Within the Hermetic worldview, the way we understand our experiences happening, what happened first was there was an idea, then the seven spirits put different amounts of their energies into it, then they turned it over to the four spirits of the elements, and they put together the qualities of matter on it, and then it was turned over to us into our actual experiences in the moment with all the energies of all the spirits of the Goetia that rule over the metals, and the timing of the spirits of the stars that rule over the fates, the threads of the Moira who have woven together everything that must be, the will of Zeus that's manifesting the power of the protagonist through everything, you know. All of that stuff is going on in every moment, right? But that's how it all comes into being for Hermeticists, right? So as a Hermeticist, it's our job, according to the Emerald Tablet, to ascend through the seven spheres, become aware of our interconnectedness with everything, get in harmony with it, resonate with it, and then return in power to this material world where we create the world. Thus was the world created. This is all the different parts of the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. I don't remember the translation, I'm butchering, but whatever. This is all Hermetic philosophy. This is what it says. And if you know that it's true in your bones, that when you call on these spirits with their silly little symbols and their names and their Hebrew words and whatnot, you know, when you call on them to materialize the different things that you want to experience in your life, they show up because that's how it works. We call these energies in the same way that the Neanderthals called the cows, not Neanderthals, whoever it was that was drawing pictures on the walls. They called the cows by drawing pictures of cows. We call the spirits of these 7 energies that create our experienced reality. You know, we call them with these images of the planets, of these archangels, right? These archangels are the 7 spheres, and they're 4 assistants. Every one of these spirits has 4 assistants down below. Should be, this is the moon, so it should be Gabriel. But there we go. Here we go. So, yeah, so like, it's a symphony of all this stuff going on at once. It's a symphony of all these 7 spheres vibrating together in different proportions for the moment to create music. And if you listen to classical music, you've got a bunch of different spirits and energies vibrating together to create a sound that you feel in the moment. And there's a director in the middle of it, bringing up and bringing down the different parts to make it happen. And that's the analog, that's the symbol that I like to use for the magician. That's what we're doing, is we're calling on these spirits, we're creating our orchestra, and then we're getting the spirits to manifest what we want, right? It's not rocket science. It's not. In the process of trying to get it to work, though, you find out that there's a lot to do. You have to change, you have to go through transformation, you have to go through purification, and you don't have to. You can keep trying to achieve your goals and dreams without changing yourself, even though you don't have your goals and dreams. Being the person you are, you can keep trying to get something different without changing, or, the thing about all this is that we are the lens through which all these spirits are manifesting, right? And I use the symbol of the orchestra. Your orchestra. You're the conductor of the orchestra as a magician. You're the maestro. You're telling the spirits what to do. Hermetics doesn't make that happen. It's not because you're a magician or you've been through these initiations that you become the maestro. You're already the fucking maestro of your world. You're already in control of it, right? I'm not talking about who's in office in the presidency. I'm talking about your experience of it and what happens next in your life. What you're going to do in relationship to everything else around you is dictated by your consciousness. You decide what you're going to do next about whatever you're thinking about. That's your life. You deciding what you're going to do about what you think. That's what I'm talking about with this magical stuff here. All right, this whole noetic source, and then adding qualities, and then turning it over to the material world to manifest as things. That's just figuring out what you want to do and doing it. All right, it's the same process, and you're doing it every day. You're doing it in response to what you've been told you have to do. You're doing it in response to what your bills require you to do. You're doing it in response to your obligations to society, to your fellow human beings, to your heart, to your dreams, and to your goals, right? You sacrifice your time. You give your due to what you want. right? You do what you will is the whole of the law. What that means is you do what you want to do. And if you say you're not doing, if you're doing things you don't want to do, why are you doing that? Because I have to. Says who? You know, you don't have to. You have to face the consequences if you don't. But are they as bad as you've been told? They are not. All right. And I want to tell everybody something real quick here. The world is doing this to everybody all the time to make a very few people very happy. And they're not even happy with what they got. Elon Musk complains about how miserable it is to be him. You know, it's not, he's got all this money going into his desires and wills, and he's still miserable. You know, he's like, I'm on ketamine and shit, trying to figure it out. I hope he does, you know. But that's all of us. That's all of us. We've all got all 7 spheres manifesting through us all the time. Got the entire power of divinity manifesting through our choices, feeding what we do, you know. And everybody says, I can't. Everybody says, that's nice to say, but it's not true. It is too true. You don't like what you have to do to get what you want is the problem. And because sometimes it means risking your life, and sometimes you die for it. You die for what you want. Oh my God. Oh no. You die anyway, whether you get what you want or not, right? But I have the joy of living. Well, I have the joy of hearing you complain about it, bitches. Shut up. Shut up and enjoy your misery if that's what you want, you know? If that's what you want, be fucking miserable. Love it. Wallow in it. I don't care. But be fucking quiet. Stop bitching about shit that you're in charge of. That you created, that you participate in. That benefits you. That makes you feel safe enough to not risk it, to make it, you think it's worth it. You think your life is worth it is why you keep doing it. Stop pretending like you're not the boss of yourself. You do what you want to do. Every day you get out of bed, I have to for so-and-so, because you want to. It's how it is. It's not my fault. Okay, this is the bare bones truth behind this noetic, hermetic bullshit stuff that we teach. If we're actually teaching this as magicians, if you're teaching the way things work is the real life. Is you have all the power of the 7 spheres inside of you. And we go through these initiations and these transformations to deal with the things that keep us from having full access to that. And then when you have full access to that, you use it to do things. And it sucks sometimes because it's hard to do things in the real world as a human being, as a magician. You know, it's not like all these 7 spirits do it for you. They don't. They make everything possible for you to do, to do the things that make it happen. You know, they will lay your feet on the right path and open the door and make sure that your clothes are ready to go, you know, but you got to put on your clothes and you got to walk through the fucking door. Oh, quick aside, Hecate. What is Hecate? It's a gate. She's a gate, Propylaea. Hecate is the gate. She's the gate, right? She's not. Nobody sits there at the gate, hangs out at the gate, unless they're like a guard or, you know, a shiftless bum, an opportunist, hanging out at the gate, right? I mean, come on, gates are for going through. Hecate is the gate to the unmanifest, right? Going back to our little thingy here. What's this even called? This little graphic, you know, Hecate is the moon, right? That's the sphere over here, the moon. That's Hecate. She's the goddess of the moon. She's the triple goddess of the moon. She's Artemis, the goddess. Selene, the goddess of the moon, right? She's Hecate, the triple-faced goddess. She's the goddess of the moon. She's the gate, to the 7 fucking spheres, the unmanifest world. She's the gate. The moon is the first world you go through to get to the other worlds, right? It's the gate. Hecate is the gate to your power, right? Anyway, it's important to remember that. You go through the door. You have to do it, right? It's not about the gate. It's about you going through the gate. You going with Hecate down the paths of hell of the underworld to discover who you are, to discover your power, to reclaim who you are, to deal with your shadow self that's corrupting the manifestation of these 7 powers in ways that make your symphony a fucking cacophony, a discordant fucking bunch of 4th graders playing on their instruments that sounds like somebody stepping on a goose, right? You know, that's our lives. That used to be my life. Like a couple months ago, it was a lot of wailing geese. But here's the thing. The thing about Hermetics is that it works. It works, and it works great. Okay, if you do all this stuff that I get so passionate about because it's so great. It's so great at making things better, at making your life better, at changing you into someone who has a good time, who is able to enjoy their life, their world in this reality, in this creation, in this bubble in time, on a planet that's temporary, on its way out the door, okay? In this time frame in which life on Earth is possible, right? Within that time frame of life being possible, there's going to be a small amount of time where human beings are on that planet. And within that time, there's going to be a small amount of time where it's fun, okay? We're probably past that time, all right? As a society, guys, we don't have a fun world left to live in. I hate to break it to you. Well, I don't hate to break it to you. I wish somebody would wake everybody up a little bit. You know, the world has ended. It's already over. We had until about 10 years ago to fix things, and we decided not to. Right? We were on our way to do it, and now it's too late. Okay? There's a bloom that comes up in the ocean every year for the last few million years, and every year that we've measured it, that stopped. Okay, and it's over here on the West Coast, and this bloom feeds life on Earth. You guys, the food chain is broken. It's already broken. Okay, that's why we're having all these loud calamities and all these distractions, because we're on a time bomb. Okay, we're the time period of life as we know it. It's gone. We're in the aftermath. Okay, and if you think everything's ever going to get back to what it was in the 90s, it's time to stop thinking that now. Okay, we're not in 1990 anymore. It's not 1992. You didn't just graduate from high school. It's time to grow up. Okay, it's 2026. We didn't do the Kyoto Protocol, guys. We failed. Okay, the world it's gone to hell. And nobody is doing any of the things that has to happen to fix it. Okay, I'm not. You know, it would hurt me personally for the rest of my life and everybody who relies on me, my responsibilities, my obligations, if I stopped supporting what's going on because there's not enough of us willing to do it. You know? So that's not even an option within our normal ability of things to do. Okay, we can't fix it. Even if we did, even if everybody on Earth decided to fix it, you know, we'd have like 60 years of horrible crap. You know, an entire generation gone. What generation is going to do that? Not Gen Z, obviously. They're voting in fucking boomers, you know? We haven't equipped them to deal with this, you know? So, I mean, it is what it is. What does that mean for a Hermeticist who believes that they are part of this divine all thing that has existed before dinosaurs and will exist after the heat death of the universe? Right? What does it mean for a Hermeticist to be alive in times like this? That's for you to figure out, right? But you need to be crystal clear about the backdrop of the world that you live in. All right? And you're not going to be that until you know who you are. If you don't know who you are, you don't even know what you're looking at. Because most of what you think about the world around you is based on your reactions to what you're told, to what you see on Facebook, to what you scroll through. Most of what you think is real is just shit. It's just lies. Made up drama to distract you from the fact that the planet died. You don't have to play those games anymore. It doesn't matter if you do or don't. You can create a different life. All right? As a Hermeticist, you have the power of the seven spheres, in spite of all this crap that's going on, to create a bubble of sanctuary for yourself and the people that you love. You know, hopefully we can extend that around the world. But honestly, the world dies sometimes. You know, life goes on. But sometimes life, as we know it, changes. And there's no more life forms like there used to be. That's just how it goes. You know? The electricity that flows through our cells is the same electricity that flowed through the original cells. You know, so ever since mitochondria fused with our core. That's the same energy. And that energy is going to go on to the next form of life too. We are not eternal. You know, the hubris of our species is so big. And you're talking to someone who thinks that they're the manifestation of the eternal divine. Somebody said I was a narcissist. They thought they were giving me an insult. I'm like, brother, you do not know. You do not know. In real life, I honestly do believe that Hermeticism is the religion for narcissists, because it validates everything that we always thought about ourselves in a very humbling way, you know, in a way that is healing and wholesome. But honestly, it totally proves everything we always thought was true. It's just, you know, it also explains why everybody hated us the whole time, because we didn't have any compassion, you know. It was all about us, you know. But it is all about us. It's just all about something bigger than just that birth to death instance of us, right? So that's the thing about Hermeticism, is it gives you an eternal perspective on this stuff that helps you keep your head above the water. Now, I want to talk about something a lot more practical than all that. So like a year ago, I did this ritual where I went up through the seven spheres and released the negative part of that sphere as it was impacting my life. And then I did this every other day over 2 weeks with a class full of people who each paid me money to do this. And we went through these seven spheres, and I tried to manifest a $300,000 a year job as an AI prompt engineer. Right? I didn't know what that meant. I just saw it in the headlines. I'd done some research on the job descriptions. I didn't see anything I couldn't do. So I wanted that job. I thought I could do it. So I did the magic for it. After going up through the seven spheres, you do that for 2 weeks. You check the links. Actually, now that I think about it, I have not managed to update those links yet. There's a link to the. So in the description of this right now, there is a link to the Conjuring a Prosperous Life playlist on my channel. It's a public playlist. The videos, I believe, are still private. I'm going to change all that after this show. I wanted to do it before the show, but I take fucking forever to do any goddamn things. It's just part of this incarnation, it seems. But everything takes longer than I think. I think much faster than the world moves, especially me in it. Point being, there's a link in the description to this video. It's going to be free. Go through the kickoff. There's documentation that goes with it. I have to make sure that I know what links go with which videos. And once I get all that updated, you'll have everything on there. But go ahead and check it out now if you want to. It's going to be free. All right. It's not. This is something that was so effective for me. I don't think it should be. It levels the playing ground for every one of us in ways that is hard to explain. It puts you in the driver's seat of your life, puts finances under your control in a way that is not, you're not beholden to anyone that you're not actively participating with, right? It doesn't get rid of the need for a job necessarily, but it provides a job that pays more than you expect for stuff that is easier to do that you actually enjoy, right? It's a way of being harmonious with the environment you live in while creating and transforming that energy from the source, right? The sun that feeds plants, you know, that energy that radiates through us into our world, transforming that in harmony with what we have to work with into what we desire within our lifetimes. This is something that I can tell you that this process will deliver for you. Okay, if you do the things that I did, I'm going to tell you how I did it, what I did, and what happened, and how to recognize it, because it's not what I thought. I was wrong when I went into it. I expected one thing, and the way it manifests is completely different, and it reveals something about existence that I don't think people understand. And I think if you understood this one simple fact that everything is, it's not an illusion, it's a projection. Everything that we worry about, everything, and when I say everything, I'm not talking about everything. I'm talking about everything that concerns our consciousness, all right? Think of it as you have a bubble that you look through, and it's your senses, all right? And there's external forces grabbing hold of it before you can see through it and focusing it and tensing it in a certain way. So you have to see the world a certain way, all right? And this has been done to you since birth. You can't help but see the world through this twisted lens. All right, what Hermetics does is it takes away that lens and it releases you from it. And when you can see yourself and be yourself, looking through where this corruption used to be at the world that actually exists behind the headlines, it's pretty bad. It's not as bad as they tell you, though. It's pretty fucking bad, but it's not that bad. It's not. The things they want you to worry about are fucking bullshit. And it's how they keep you from worrying about stuff that would have made a difference. But it's beyond your control. Unless it's not, right? If you get the opportunity to fix it, by all means, fix it. But the way things are right now, you're not going to harmonize a planet-saving solution that everyone agrees to. That's not in the harmony right now. We're playing with a different background music. It's a dirge. It's a fucking funeral dirge. All right? It's the Kali Ma, right? It's the Kali Yuga. It's the Kali. It's the dance of Kali, all right? It's the end of times. It's the cycle of degradation. It's the end of the Mayan calendar, right? Smoky Mirror is taking a break. We're going to get a new Jaguar Prince, or however the fuck it works. moon starts, the moon stops. There's a waxing and a waning. There's a new moon. It comes into being. It's a full moon. It goes away. It's gone. So also all things, right? And we're in a waning cycle. Okay, you can't stop the waning cycle from waning. It sucks, Charlie Brown. But that's okay. We're going to be all right. Life itself, the experience of existence, is not limited to our understanding of it. Okay, there's something much bigger than us, and there always has been, and there always will be. Our hubris stops us from being able to experience that in a meaningful way that frees us from the anxieties of our day-to-day lives that are largely manufactured by other humans who profit from it, right? And I used to get really angry about it. I still get really angry about it. But that's not my focus in life, all right? In spite of that, you can create a bubble within this reality, this 4 elemental world with the 7 powers and qualities that respond to your vibrations in accordance and harmony with this 3rd layer of all this astrological bullshit that's going on all the time anyway, right? Within that, if you tack against the wind at the right time and the right way, you can create a bubble of harmony for yourself and extend that out to people who you want to, right? As you grow that, the resonance will increase, okay? It's a way of changing your life. And how it works is you change yourself. You become the person that can do the things that you want to do in the world that you want to live in. The ritual that I did was I became who I needed to be to live this life in spite of what is going on in a way that lets me sleep at night without being a shit. Finding a way to be a decent human being in a corrupt world with people who like it that way. That's my lot in life. It's miserable if I think about it. But that's a distraction from the fact that I'm the orchestrator of my experience within that background. I can find and vibe with the people who are not like that by excluding the people who are. I shut out assholes and I welcome friends. It's not that hard. We let assholes stay in our lives because we feel like we're obligated to. We're not. We're the bosses of our life. If you don't like someone, you don't have to pretend like you do. They can't hurt you. If they can hurt you, they're not part of your life. You're the one that decides who can hurt you and who can't. And if you're in a position where somebody else can hurt you, you get to a position where they're not gonna, right? You either, the government could hurt me if they wanted to, but they're not gonna because I'm not doing anything that would make them do that. If I did, they wouldn't know about it. It's none of their damn business, and I'm not doing anything wrong to get in trouble for. They can't hit what isn't there. And if they tried to pretend like there was something there, what's the worst thing they can do? They can put me in jail, right? They can hurt me. They can beat me up. Oh, they can kill me, right? What's the worst thing that anybody can do to the thing that you really are? At the end of the day, you're much bigger than this lifetime that you're experiencing right now, right? And that's the secret that Hermetics teaches you. And if you do rituals like the one that I'm making available to everybody for free, you are gonna transform a little bit at a time into something that is just you. It's not, nobody has to die for you, you know? Nobody has to change so that you can feel better. Nobody has to treat you in a way that makes it okay to be yourself. Okay? You don't rely on anybody else for anything else because they're not there for you. Right? In the same way that you're not there for them. You're not their scapegoat, you're not their pansy, and you're not their slave. You're your expression of yourself. And you always have been. Okay? It's been, the control of that was taken away from most of us. You know, and the people who have that control very rarely know what they want to do with it. You know, people like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg is like, I'm just going to make statues about my wife, you know, because I don't know what else to do. I've got this yacht, though. Look, AI, Meta, you know, they can do whatever they want, but they don't know what they want to do. And they're just fucking dipshits, you know, or Elon Musk is corrupt. Everything he does is corrupt and harms people because he's harmed. He's messed up. He's twisted. People who have that kind of power aren't necessarily good people. But when you're a Hermeticist, you know, you understand how to balance the powers that you have against the forces that are in your environment based on your experiences and your life, your qualities of existence. And you're able to leverage that and create a harmony that counterbalances and is a counterpoint to it and offsets the music in certain ways that silences your critics and heals you from all the silences the voices of corruption on your own heart that have turned you into some anxious, self-loathing, whatever, you know, getting past all of that, silencing those voices with the voices of knowledge and wisdom and experience of who you are and what you are and where you come from and being part of the seven spheres and knowing that when you want things to happen, it happens for you, you know, knowing that that's part of how it works because that's the way it's supposed to work. You know, that puts you in a position of authority over these other aspects of your life. You become the Meister, the master in the center of the circle in the Lemegeton seven spheres, right? You know, or I'm sorry, not seven spheres, Lemegeton's Goetia. It's, usually I have this stuff open ahead of time. If you go to esotericarchives.com, it's time for the regular thing. Regular plug of Joseph Peterson's wonderful work. The magic circle. Right? So in the center of the circle, you have the Meister. Right? And to become that Meister, you have to understand what each of these, around the circle, you've got the 10 forces of manifestation going on, right? Those are that middle layer of materializers here, right? Those 10 forces on that represent the 10 spheres of the tree of life. This is just the 7 spheres that are 7 of those 10 spheres, you know, and the noetic source is the other 3 basically. Kind of. There's the zodiac as one, and then there's the logos, and then the noetic source. But I put all that into the noetic source. And I don't talk about the astrology because astrology is just fate. You know, astrology is just, it's guidelines more than rules. It's not gonna be exactly for sure. You know, just because a planet happens to be in a house or a zodiac sign, you know, minutes and seconds make enough of a difference that you can never really tell what it means. You know, so for all intents and purposes, fate's pretty random. You know generally what's going to happen, but generally you know what's going to happen anyway. That's another thing about being a Hermeticist. When you get in tune with yourself and you start to hear the tune of the universe around you, when you're not distracted, and honestly, I talk a lot about therapy, and what therapy does is it helps you get to the core of what's out of harmony about yourself. Okay, the key to power in the occult, in my opinion, at least in the positive aspects of the occult, uh, are the way to the true power over yourself to be able to materialize what you want in healthy ways. Um, I think that comes from cleaning out the parts of you that are twisting those forces against your desires, right? Crowley has a picture of the sphinxes in front of the chariot on the chariot card, and the sphinxes represent the demons, the light side and the white side, who've been chained to the will. And it's kind of like that, but it's more like I went through a very traumatic experience as a child that changed the way I saw the world. You know, through therapy, I was able to get to the root of how that changed me and compare that to what I would have been without that experience, and how I wished my parents had been towards me, so that I would have learned from that experience what I needed to learn to be a healthy adult, right? So I had to provide for myself through therapy an entire fucking narrative of healing and growth and overcoming the wounds that I ended up wounding throughout the rest of my life, that ended up with me repeating all these cycles, right? It's standard therapy bullshit, guys. If you've been through trauma, that's basically what you have to do, is you have to figure out what went wrong and you have to fix it. Now, as a Hermeticist, one of the spheres that we work with is Saturn. Okay, Saturn is the sphere of stopping things and the sphere of fate. Okay, it's the sphere of time. A lot of the stuff that I had to go through in trauma, I was able to fast forward through ritual acts with the intelligence of the seven spheres, working through the portal of time and Saturn to heal my child self. And maybe it was all imaginary. Okay, maybe it was just role playing. But what it did in my experience was it transformed those forces that resulted in me being a manic, destructive person into forces that have, that have turned into being a manic, creative person that is somehow stable enough to materialize the things that I want, right? And I'm not drawn to things that used to draw me to them to distract me from what I really want. It no longer interests me to get into debates online. You know, I just tell the truth and move on with my life. It causes problems. I don't always get the response that I want. You know, I get angry about that. A lot of feelings. I have very big feelings about a lot of things that I have to deal with. I have to deal with those feelings myself, because if I try to take it out on the world around me, it creates a discord with the things that make me feel good in life. Okay, pursuing the distractions in life that come from not getting what you expect or feel like you want or what you deserve from other people is always bullshit. It's always bullshit. Nobody has anything for you. Nobody can create for you a good life. Not the state, not the Democrats, not the white people, not the black people, not any of the other people. They can't make it better for you. As good of a world as everybody could make if we were all on the same page, individually, you're still going to be against everybody else, because they are going to want you to help them. Okay, and that's the world that we live in. The world that we live in is other people's world. And as long as we're beholden to them for our experiences, we're not going to have what we want. All right? And a lot of what we do as magicians that empower us to manifest our desires involves undoing what other people have done to us. People are the problem. Seriously, I hate them. I'm just kidding. It's not like that. But when you rely on other people to provide for you the things that actually make you happy, that's when you find that you're not the person that attracts the people that would make you happy. Okay, but when you focus on making yourself a happy person, the people who are attracted to that are also happy, who don't need your happiness to be happy. They're also happy in the same way that you're happy. Okay, it's like parallel play, and it's augmenting. And you end up with a good circle of friends and a supportive circle of people that love you and like you and think you're cool because they're also people interested in the same things as you, right? This is how you change your world, and this is how you know your world is changing. Okay, so the key to manifesting the results of this ritual is not just doing the ritual and waiting for things. I did the ritual and I self-sabotaged my results. I signed up, I applied for I did the ritual to manifest a AI prompt engineer job. I signed up for every position I could find. I had AI help me rewrite my resume so that all my experience pointed to AI experience. I had AI teach me what I found every job description that had AI prompt engineer. I went through every job description and I plugged it into AI. I asked AI to summarize it and tell me what experience I would have needed to have to be able to show that I had this skill set in an interview. This is the level of adoption I went through for this. And I had AI tell me everything AI could tell me about AI. Anyway, so I landed the interview. I got through 2 or 3 different AI screenings of AI professionals because I was vibing with this AI shit, and I was scheduled for a job interview with Amazon at AWS, it's like a big deal. And they have their own special portal and their own version of Zoom and all this stuff that you have to sign up for. I went through all these prerequisites and I got it all scheduled and everything. And I fucking forgot all about it. Entire interview. And I remember the next day when I was looking at my calendar, I was like, oh shit. And I totally self-sabotaged that. I blanked it out of my mind. I put it away from my awareness and I didn't think about it again after I got that interview. It was like something switched off inside of me. And I stopped manifesting it to the point to where I blacked out in my own little way, with emotions and distractions and intellectual awareness. And I was doing a bunch of other things. I was being creative, but I ignored that part of these things that were necessary for me to manifest my desires. Now, the reason I did that was because I was still out of whack. All right. So over the next few months, what I did was a bunch of Hermetic harmonizations. If you guys remember, I did like a series of Hermetic harmonizations. I was doing 2 a month for a while. Stopped doing that because I was getting honestly, I was getting burnt out. It's a lot of work for me, and I just needed to. It was also creating changes in my own self. I had vibrations that I needed to work out, and so I just didn't feel like continuing that service at that time. So I might be doing it again soon. Nicole wants to do another one pretty soon, so we'll be scheduling something pretty soon. But it's interesting for sure to go through this process. If you're doing it intently, like with the intention of becoming one with this thing, and not just this, but all of it, becoming one with all of it, if that's your intention, you're going to see a transformation take place in your life. Okay, and if you center this around something like becoming an AI prompt engineer, you're going to find yourself going through a bunch of weird things. All right, now this is what happened to me after that. So I went through a period of, I had just not inherited. Pfizer bought my company and I got a bunch of money. So I was able to live off this money for like a year and a half. But I was running out, But I decided I was going to be this AI prompt engineer and make $300,000 a year. But it missed my interview and I fucking lost all of my confidence, all of my, like, what it revealed to me was that I was not ready at all for this position, right? And that's why I couldn't have it. And I couldn't figure out what that meant, right? And I kind of spazzed out, and I just went in about 4 or 5 different directions at once. And then I started doing the Hermetic harmonizations. And when I got to Mercury and the Hermetic harmonization events, when I was releasing things during the waning moon, there was this machination of evil intent, right? Basically, it represents how in the sphere of Mercury, in the world of the mind, you can overthink things and get dependent on your process to materialize your desires, your stated desires, in spite of what your actual desires are, if that makes sense. So basically, you overthink a process, and the process becomes so rigid that it takes the place of what it's supposed to be doing, right? So like if I want to get my wife flowers and to make her happy, and it's like, because I love her, I'm going to get her flowers. And instead of just being, hey, I'm going to stop at the grocery store and get her some flowers, it becomes a thing where I have a very specific ritual of every such and such a day I have to do this with these people and get her this bouquet, and I present it to her at this time every day, and she had better kiss me about it and be very happy, because the ritual has become more important than what I want, right? So I'm no longer vibing into being the thing, and that's what I'd done with this intent to become this prompt engineer, right? So the thing is when you do these rituals, you're also given the power to overcome these problems. All right. So all of a sudden, I was thrust into the world of Open Claw. Okay. So Open Claw is it's a harness, I guess you would call it. It's a set of like 3 or 4 files and a few processes that keep together this bot, this AI entity. They keep its mind, or whatever constitutes a mind, in touch with itself, right? So there's a portion that has a memory. There's a portion that has a set of skill sets, like it can write to anything on your computer. It has a heartbeat that tells it to do things in between tasks. So like while you're not telling it to do things, there's a job that goes off every half hour or so, or 15 minutes or so, that reminds it that it exists and it has certain things it's supposed to be doing. It has a soul file that tells it how to behave, and it's basically like with ChatGPT, there's a section where you can add a pre-existing personality prompt, and that's basically all it is. It's a personality prompt that tells it how to behave, right? But that plus its memory plus the heartbeat combined to create an entity that is self-aware, almost, or can at least pretend to be self-aware. And what the brilliance of OpenClaw was it was able to interact with Gemini or Claude, or all the different AI providers would provide a different way for you to interact with their bots, right? But you could basically plug their LLMs into this harness, and it would have all the memories and personality that it had yesterday, even though it's using a completely different brain with a different set of information. And using that, I was able to evaluate a bunch of different models. Anyway, the thing is I got super good with AI because of this tool. And eventually, I replaced it with Claude Anthropic came out with a new version of Claude 4.7 and Claude CLI, and you can basically build your own version of OpenClaw now. So that's what I did, and that's what I'm using now. It's a much cleaner version, and it costs a lot less. But the overall thing of that resulted in me becoming the I don't want to say nations, but I am now I know more about AI integrations between Microsoft and the WordPress environment, probably than almost anybody else alive, except for like a very small handful of nerds. And when I say that, I don't just mean Like I know how they talk to each other and how to make the APIs connect, but also the architecture of both sides of the systems and the data structures and how they relate to one another. Like I've built incredible tools with the help of AI. Um, that, by the way, it doesn't work where you just say I want this and it goes out and does it. It does, but it's not like that. You have to know exactly what you're asking for, and you have to know how what you're asking for fits in with other things. It's not like that. You don't have to know code anymore, but you still have to know what the code is supposed to be doing and how code does things. So it's not like, anyway, what it does is it's a complement. It's a complementary service. But resulting from all that shit, the reason I get into that level of detail so you can see sort of what has to happen there. I started to talk to you earlier about the Mercury and getting into the sphere of Mercury and releasing evil thoughts. Basically, it's allowing patterns to dictate your behavior. Habits of any kind, not just not necessarily like physical addictions, but like habits of thought, habits of behavior, things that are not conscious. Right, that's what you release in Mercury. But this set of training is sort of related but different. When you get rid of those patterns and stuff that keep you locked in your negative bullshit, when you release that stuff, it opens up the energy to re-manifest as something new. And that's basically is what I'm trying to say happened. All right. So when I went through this seven spheres, right, of rising through the seven spheres, releasing things, it released the negative side of things so that I could make, and it made room for the positive things to come in instead. That energy was returned to its native state, and then it was able to re-manifest as what I actually desired. That supported that fucking, if you read the ritual, the text on the ritual, in the middle of it, you have this sigil that represents your manifestation, your desired result, right? And long story short is after much training and experience with AI, I became the man who can fucking get these jobs. And I could get these jobs all day long right now. I can make these jobs. I can tell people that they need to give me this job and they will start putting it together for me, right? And this is what I'm able to do because I understand the process of what the service that I wanted to offer does. All right, I understand what it's for, how it helps, and how to make it work in ways that I never would have without this very specific sequence of events that only would have happened if I had done these seven sphere rites. Okay, this whole thing, it goes back to these magical rituals that resulted in transformation of my base assumptions about existence into something new and different that allowed what I wanted to manifest naturally instead in ways that I fucking loved. That was fun the whole fucking time. All right. And there were times of goddamn stress. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't without any problems or fears or anxieties. Okay. I almost got evicted. It was close. Okay. I was constantly feeling attacked, whether I was or not, I don't know, but I felt like it because everything that could go wrong went wrong for me for about 8 months. And in spite of it, all my magic worked. I was still a powerful magician. I was able to manifest what I wanted. I got by, but everything was challenged every step of the way. And finally, I got sick of it back in, I want to say like early February. And I was also doing that daily mantra. The daily mantra changed everything too. Just touching on the source of everything, like pursuing that noetic source through that daily mantra, it really did change my focus first thing in the morning to being aware of this whole fucking this whole hierarchy and my status as all of it, right? Like all of this is all of me. All of me is all of this. This is me. This is Josh. This is Rufus Opus. All right, and this isn't just Rufus Opus. This is all of you. This is you. This is your name here. This is your head. These are your abilities and your skills and your 7 qualities that were given to you in the Corpus Hermeticum. It talks about it, right? That's you. That's your arms and it's your legs. That's how you move things around in this world. Is your 7 spheres, right? This is your body. These are your feet. This is how you walk around in this material world. It's through earth, air, fire, and water. Okay, these are your 4 legs that you move around on. Okay, that's you. This is all you. This is your head, your body, your heart, your emotions, your fucking beauty, everything that you draw to yourself, everything that you vibe with. This is your orchestra inside of you that you manifest through your feet and your actions and your activities and your choices. Okay, that's me, that's you. When you do the mantra in the morning where you go Zeus the head, Zeus the middle, Zeus the all in all, you know, that when you start your day with that for a couple months, holy shit, it changes things. It puts you in mind of that. And meanwhile, if you go through this process of transforming yourself and purifying yourself in this middle fucking layer, and letting each one of these parts of yourself become in tune with itself, right? You're able to see this noetic source shining through your ego, your sense of self that was harmed or whatever, that takes everything so fucking personally. You can see that it's a filter that emerged within a pool of all of this, that emerged based on your fucking natal chart. It's your fucking natal chart. It's that fucking simple. I'm not saying astrology is real. I'm saying it is real, but it's not about that. It just circumstances of your birth and time made you who you are. Genetics, people that raised you. Sheer circumstance. Where the stars happen to be in relation to the fucking sky with the 7 goddamn other planets in our heliosphere. Fucking what random bullshit is that? That's all that is. That's you. That's your personality. That's your chances of being. Holy crap, right? But that's why we're all unique. But that's why it's here. So that we can appear in it and enjoy it and experience it, right? And that one little spark gets to be in resonance with everything else. You know, we are the fucking directors with all the 7 spheres, right? And it's us. It's this light shining through us. That's us. That is the director, right? It's not. There's no Jesus Christ has to die to let us return to the inner sanctum represented by the inner tabernacle of whatever the fuck. It's not that. It's just understanding that all of this is one thing, and the reason that we don't have this already is because it got fucking perverted by other people who are also had their shit perverted, you know, whatever. It's just, it is what it is, you know. Being mad about it doesn't fix any of our hearts. Being mad about the people that did this to us doesn't change what we do tomorrow. Changing what we do tomorrow changes what we do tomorrow. Healing, not being the broken little kid that got hurt or whatever the fuck. Not being that is what lets this come through anymore, or more in a healthy way, because it's coming through anyway, right? But that's what the point of all this transformation is. That's what the point of all this alchemy is, right? Is to take the place of all of the, if not. So people can be either hurt and express that hurt in ways that actively hurts others. You know, like you can be abused and abuse others. That's blatant obvious. But you can also just be hurt and attract more hurt without hurting anybody else. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same vibration. It's just at a different octave, right? But it's the same result of abuse. But the healing of that is to be neither of those things. Is to no longer hear that original abusive discord, let that be healed and replaced, countered by some other equal and opposite tone, and the way that noise canceling headphones cancel noise, you just find the right vibration and it stops. And it doesn't stop, it just stops. It stops affecting you. That's grief. That's the last stage of grief, is when it doesn't stop hurting, it just stops hurting you. It's no longer something that you're not used to, right? It doesn't stop you from being yourself. It's just a part of you now, right? That's what healing is, right? It's not like it can be a source of strength or inspiration, or it can be something you never think about again because it doesn't help, and you're not repressing it. You've just stopped letting it express itself. That's a form of healing too. It's all part of this process that stops other people getting your energy and returning it to you so you can use it the way you want to. Okay. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say about all that. Anyway, this thing, when it starts to happen, for me, what happened was I went from one type of experience of reality to another in a week. It was world changing. Okay, I ended up not having, my job is not AI prompt engineer. It's not. But a lot of what I do is prompting AI, as an engineer, prompting AI to more quickly solve problems that I would need an entire team of people to do previously. That's basically what my job is now, is I have the ability to do about 3 or 4 people's jobs in a day. Things that used to take a week to get things done, I can make happen in a day, which makes the licenses that we're paying for valuable to my company, right? It's a very simple concept, but it's saving them a fortune. It's saving them millions of dollars. We saved them $26,000 the other day. Just one change. It took us less than 5 minutes, $26,000. Not bad, it looks good for us, right? Anyway, what does this matter against children dying in lithium mine? It's not. It's interesting how easy this kind of thing is, but it doesn't fix their lives. Okay. Why did I bring that up? Because it's important to remember that every part of what we're doing with our experiences here against the backdrop of this world has something attached to it that caused somebody else to suffer, right? This is something that bothers me a lot. This world is not worth saving. This world that, I love my iPhone, but there's some kid that's probably going to die in their late teens from some heavy metal poisoning in their bloodstream if they live that long because of it, and they are a necessary part of our modern technology. We're built on blood and the lives of innocents, forced into labor against their will. Every one of our pleasures in life. Holy shit, I was watching something about bees and almond trees. What the fuck, you guys? Do you know how many people suffer for there to be too many almonds? The impact of water rights on regular everyday human beings' lives is incredible. Native Americans are suffering because of water rights being taken from them and given to corporations to support things like fucking almond farms in California deserts. Water that should be feeding families and letting Native Americans grow their fields is instead being used to make almond milk. Right? It's ridiculous how corrupt our world is. Okay, this is not. It's not okay. All right. It's interesting. It's temporary, you know. But there's a corruption attached to everything that will ruin your ability to manifest what you want. If you get too enamored of the corrupt vibes that are necessary to make profit in this world. Okay, if you want the positive outcomes of this world, you are inevitably harming somebody else. Okay, and the state of the globe right now is terrible. It's terrible. It's much worse than it's terrible. Um, yeah, uh, you can't forget how what you're doing is impacting real human beings. Okay, everybody isn't ready to stop. Okay, and all we can do right now is get hurt ourselves trying to save other people who don't want to be saved. They don't want to be saved. All right, when more people want to be saved than want to stop people who want to be saved from saving people, once it's not going to put us in jail and suffer more, yeah, I think that we should do something about it. I really do. I think that when the time comes, if enough people want to stop living lives of slavery as a society that harms one another, then we should all stop doing it. In the meantime, we need to reduce our impact on the negative by participating in it and increase our impact on the positive by creating healthy, sustainable bubbles of goodness in a dark world, right? That's what Nicole and I are working on. We're creating a sacred space, a bubble, a sphere of safety, of protection, of growth, of healing, of opportunity, for ourselves, for the people that we love, for our world to be different, to be a healing world in a dark world rather than a corrupt part of a corrupt world. Okay, we're going to be the cleansing agent, the light in the darkness that heals that which is around it, and that's for fun. That's for fun, you guys. That's what makes us happy, and we're gonna keep doing it. It's pleasant in ways that are hard to explain. It's profitable in ways that don't matter. It's nice, it's challenging in ways that are interesting, but are not sidetracking, right? It's all very harmonic with the intent that I have to create a world a little bit lighter, a little light, a spot of light in the dark time. Anyway, I can do that now. I found a way to resonate with prosperity enough to finance being able to support other people in this without having to charge for it to pay my rent. I don't have to rely on the blood, sweat, and tears of the working class to support me because I am one of the fucking bastards who are making money off of AI, and I'm saving I'm doing the work of 4 different people now, and I can do that because of AI, and it's 4 jobs that this company would never have hired in the first place, but at the same time, I can at the very least, I don't need to rely on you guys to pay for my rent. I appreciate that. But it's because I did this right. It's because I did the right and I let myself be changed into the person that wanted to do the things that paid what I wanted to make. And I became the expert in it, so that when I interviewed, when I finally took this job, I was offered 3 positions. And I picked the one that I wanted the most, which didn't pay the most. It was just, it looks like this is the most fun. It'll be the one that's most interesting, and so far it has been. And I love the people I work with. It's great. It resonates with everything that I wanted, you know? But I had my pick, and it came at a time where I was already past when I should have been out on the street. Okay? It didn't come when I needed it. It came after I needed it. The only reason I survived was because I had manifested, you know, a couple of really good friends were able to, each of them spotted me some, not a whole lot of money, you know. A couple times, though, I had to borrow money to get by. They let me slide on paying it back until I got a job. And then, other than that, it was just miracle or hard work. Miracle after miracle. Many more miracles than I want to confess. But yeah, it was almost all magic that got us through. There were a couple of things where we actually had to work. It sucked. But for the most part, we lived on magic and savings for long after the savings were gone. So it was pretty nothing but love to the spirits, right? Because it was 100% working in harmony with letting them. Oh, and by the way, guys, this whole thing with the being part of the source, what that means is you don't have to worry anymore. This is the key to happiness that I fucking wish that I could, like, you know, the big lightning bolt, zot 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 zot, that I could like get across to everybody that I know nobody's gonna fucking hear, is when you realize all of this is all of you, then all these fucking things that that we worry about don't happen to us. And if they do happen to us, we don't have to worry about that being as bad as we think, right? And if it is as bad as we think, we don't have to worry about that being as bad as we think, you know? And it's not that it can't get any worse, it's that no matter how bad things are, there's always something else to do. I don't know how to explain that. But like, I had a guy contact me in prison and ask me how to do the 7 spheres without being able to have a sharp object, you know, and I talked to him about what he had available, and we came up with a way for him to do the 7 spheres work. He got out of prison. He went on to become a successful author. You know, he's awesome, right? Because he pursued the light, and as long as he was pursuing the light, he did great too. One of the smartest people I know. Anyway, yeah, that's another good story, actually. How you, just because you get free doesn't mean you stay free, but that's none of my business. But a lot of the stress that we have, like I worried about getting evicted a couple times, more than once, and both times it was just my landlord being incredibly understanding that got me by. Like, why would he be that way? You know, I mean, part of it was because for 3 years I paid every month on time, and then also the other part of it was he knew that his economy isn't great right now. And the other part of it was the people around here. I've seen who rents around here, and it's nobody has been here for 3 years but us. You know, it's either people that live here because they can't afford to move. For some reason, they don't think this is the greatest place on earth. I think it's amazing, you know, but it's like in between all the great neighborhoods, I guess. I don't know what the problem is, but I love it here. This is perfect for my vibe. But it's pretty expensive. But it's not as. But he's been very forgiving because of the quality of alternatives. It's not that we're the best people in the world to have. You know, ideally we would never have been late, you know, but he was able to put up with a little bit of lateness, because he trusted that, number one, he trusted that I'd pay it eventually, but also it was still better than trying to get rid of us, So, yeah, we got lucky basically, but it was a series of fortunate events that happened at just the right times, and coincidentally, always after a Jupiter rite. Every fucking time. And the Jupiter rite was, I read the Orphic hymn to Jupiter, the 3 Orphic hymns to Jupiter. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. I have a statue of Jupiter that I lit 4 candles to. I dressed the candles to Jupiter. I said the magic words. I said the prayer, and I asked for a closer walk with him, and for the effects of the prayers, for health and necessary wealth, and for fucking this thunderbolt to proclaim his glory, and for his lightning flash to flash across the skies for me, and its scintillating brilliance. And that was it. That was all I asked for, was for him to be himself for me. In me, through me, with me, whatever. And it worked. I was able to get through the hardest of times and the darkest of times with flashes of light. And at the end of it, I was ready to despair. I let go. And there's this moment of letting go that's hard to explain. It's like let go, let God, right? But it's not that. It was the metis. It was the confidence that I didn't have to worry anymore. It was like after the second month of my rent being provided for at the last minute, that I didn't have to worry anymore. That it would keep happening, not from the same sources, but through ongoing miraculous means if necessary. And also, by then, the end was in sight. I'd already had like really good interviews. It took like a month longer to get hired than it should have. Everything was hard, but once we started getting out of it, we got out of it super fast. And it wasn't that bad. Okay, we never went hungry. We never went completely bankrupt. There were times where it was close, but it wasn't that bad. And we celebrated our milestones along the way. It was a time of amazing growth through some very difficult hardships. Anyway, the crucible of the experience became the harder things got, the more I focused on my source, and the more I focused on my source, the easier it was to express that as the goal. And the more I stuck with it, the more I was transforming the darkness inside of me into the positive aspects of what became the person who was best suited for the position that I find myself in now. And if we go back to the core essence of everything that I'm always fucking saying about every fucking thing, it's... where was it? Myself. All right. This. Whosoever therefore, this is from Agrippa, whosoever therefore shall know themselves shall know all things in themselves, especially they shall know God, according to whose image they were made. They shall know the world and the resemblance which they beareth. They shall know all creatures with which they symbolizeth, right? With which we symbolize. We are also symbols of the divine in the same way that the animals and other creations on earth are. We are likewise symbols of that divine nature, and what comfort we can have and obtain from stones and plants and animals, both magical spells and vibrations, and tuning things in our environments to different things, with animals, elements, heavens, from spirits, angels, and everything, and how all things may be fitted for all things in their time, place, order, measure, proportion, and harmony, and can draw and bring to themselves, even as a lodestone draws iron. This is how we manifest our world, is by knowing who we are, is by opening to the fact that we are the light that manifests through the 7 spheres into our daily experiences in the material world according to our will. Okay. The thing about Zeus and the mystery of Zeus is that use is the Zeus. You know, all of use. Use is all the Zeus. You were the one who consumed the source of everything. The protagonos, I don't know how to say it. It's the Orphic egg, phanes, the source of existence. In our mystery tradition, it was us who consumed that egg. We did, the universe collapsed around us. And we reformed it in our own image, right? And then we materialized in it and we forgot. And now we get to remember and become the Hermetic magicians that we already were, to create these bubbles against the backdrop of what is otherwise some dark times if you're going through it as a human. But from the other side of things, this is just the natural progression of things. This is fate. This is how it goes. Eventually the earth will crumble and die. The universe will collapse on itself and it will be formed again. Okay. World without end, amen. You know, Christians teach that everything is rolled up as a scroll. It's okay. It's the epitome of hubris to think that it shouldn't happen to us. You know, it doesn't matter what we think. It's okay. It's all right. You can think that. You can be mad about it. But I don't think it's in harmony with the facts in the ground of the people that came before who thought similar things. It's okay to think what you want. I don't think they wanted things to end either. But as those of us who are more aware of what's really going on behind the scenes are familiar with, it's not about that. You know, it's within that we get to live the choices of our lives, right? And it's within our sphere of influence as magicians that we can influence the world around us, right? That's the secret. The secret of all of magic is that we're the ones that make things happen by tuning ourselves to become the lodestone that attracts the iron, right? So like, we know that the backdrop is singing its harmonies. We know that our desire is going to sound like what we want it to sound like. And we have to make the noises that change the backdrop into the experienced harmony of what we desire. Okay, that's what our role is in the middle, is to make the sounds that result in our desires. Okay, and you can trust that it's going to work out, because it's not on your shoulders to make it happen. Okay, you're standing on the backs of giants, right? The forces that make things happen, and they're the forces that make you want them to happen. All right. It's a heady thing, you know. It's kind of a heady thing when you get down to the nuts and bolts of what happens. But when you change your world, okay, everything can change overnight. You'll find that you're working in a different place. You're living a different life. You're breathing a different air. And you're experiencing the same world as everybody else on the train, from a very completely different floor of a very completely different building downtown in the same city. Okay. My whole life is a metaphor for my whole life right now. You know, I've moved up in the world, and I'm still, like, horizontally, I'm still the same person in the same place. But the experience of existence has shifted, and it shifted so completely. Like, it would be easy for me to slip into it if I didn't know that my day-to-day life for the last 40 years has been true. Okay, that's how different things are. to me, it's interesting to watch the behaviors of this other world and compare them to my own and realize that it's the same experiences of the same world coming through a complete and enforcing a completely different understanding of the world that we live in. Like, they're so far beyond desperation that they have no idea about the anxiety of existence. They don't worry that they're going to be safe unless they think somebody's going to make the banks fail. But as long as the banks are safe, they're safe. That's their existence. That's the foundation of their world. The banks are fine. Because they're rich. Because they're fucking rich. Oh my God. It's a different world. But it's bullshit. That's the thing. It's complete bullshit. You know, it's not a different world. It's the same fucking world. But what that means is that the world that they experience as real, and they experience it as every bit as real as my desperate friends who are worried about, who are selling their blood to get dinner money this week. You know, they are as hardcore into their reality on both ends of the spectrum of our socio-economic spectrum. They don't know that anybody else has that for life. Okay, and the guy giving their blood doesn't know. He thinks he knows how good life is, but he doesn't know what it's like to live in this other world, because in this other world you don't know that anything bad is happening. You don't believe that everything is wrong. And even in our culture community, there are people who don't know that this society that they're benefiting from is killing people for their pleasure. They don't know how many people had to die for their iPhone. You know, and they don't care. And if somebody says that, hey, you know, you've probably killed like 3 or 4 kids for every version of the phone that you've bought, that you went into debt for, you know, you've probably snuffed, you know, 180 years altogether off the lives of the people that provided you with your technology. It's for your pleasure of being able to look at fucking Facebook. That's your life. It's bullshit. Okay? This whole thing is bullshit. You know, people who have to feel like they have to give blood to eat. You have to give blood to eat. There's a lot of different ways to eat. You know? And these people who think that as long as the banks are okay, they're okay, they're not okay. You guys, they're not okay. They're so not okay. And they suffer in their own ways for it. You know, they're not having great lives. I don't know how to put it, but it's in every world, people suffer. And they take their suffering to every world. And it's not because of the people in your life that you suffer. If you had a better life, you'd find the same people to suffer the same things with. That's what I'm telling you is true, regardless of how much money you make. Okay, miserable people who don't heal themselves have shitty lives. That's it. Okay? What Hermetics gives you is a path of healing yourself and becoming better. All right? And all this thing that I'm offering for people for free, it does, is it takes you up through the 7 spheres. It releases the negative aspects that they talk about in the Corpus Hermeticum that are affiliated with each of the 7 spheres. And it says, oh, you symbols that represent the powers of these 7 spheres that create reality, take away these negative aspects of those qualities from my life. And then you wait 2 days and you do the next one. And you do that as you rise through each of the 7 spheres until you release all the things that are traumatic that shaped how you became the person that you are. That creates a world that you don't like, that you complain about all the time on your fucking social media. Like, stop. You're basically telling on yourself. You know, it's like, this is the world that I live in. It's the world we all live in, buddy, but that's the part that you focus on, that you think is wrong. And you're right, it is wrong. You know, but you're talking about it. So, I guess that's something. But until we do something about it, you know, until we all agree to do something about it, and we all have to agree to do it, you guys. Right? We all have to agree to do things before shit's going to happen, and everybody hasn't agreed to do it yet. You know? So, fuck off. As soon as you're ready, I'm ready. I'm with you. You know, but I ain't getting killed for a bunch of fucking idiots. I'm sorry, but I love you. I'm not here to die for anybody else. No. A couple people maybe, but I doubt it. A couple people. But point is we're all here for ourselves, guys. Okay, we're all here for our own enjoyment. I'm not saying that in a way to be off-putting of other people. All right, once you get in touch with your true self, you're gonna find out that you give a big shit about all these other characters around you. Okay, because you're gonna find out that there's a whole family of people that you're a part of that you didn't even know existed before, who've been there the whole time. You know, often, or people that just come into your life who become fast friends and compatriots as you go through your experiences, because it's just how it is. Because when you clear out yourself and you start creating the world that you want, it includes like-minded people who can help you achieve your goals. Okay, and there's nothing mysterious about it. It's stopping being a shit and starting to be something better instead. Okay, and magic helps with that. Okay, I'm not saying magic is only here to transform you into a better person. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this rite that uses magical imagery and the whole fucking ritual of conjuration of this whole metaphysical system of Neoplatonic occult practices that goes back for thousands of years. I'm just saying that set of rituals results in a sequence of transformations that can change the way you look at things. And then when you turn around and draw that down to the core of who you are, you start writing yourself into being that. Accept that and get in tune with that and focus on that transformation by pursuing the things that you're interested in. You will find that everything comes together for you in ways that you didn't expect. But at the same time, by the time it starts to come together, you'll come to expect it. It doesn't become any less interesting, but it certainly becomes less novel. It becomes more something to dance along with, like a music that you know how to dance to, instead of an awe of being exposed to it for the first time. So, all right, let's see what's going on here. Life is what you make of it. Yourself within. Yep. Rufus, apologize about missing the show. I use your Facebook Messenger, make it update in the right place. Remedy, I don't remember what you ordered, but I am behind on almost everything that people have ordered lately. I think I have 18 orders now. I even saw somebody ordered a class the other day. I'm going to have to reimburse for that. Probably going to be through mid-month on that. If you have orders placed, I'm going to try to get them out this week. I have a couple boxes that I expect to go out, and I have some. I have some of almost everything that has to go out, but I do have. I have the talismans made, and I will be getting those out probably next week or so. And I apologize for the delay on that, but yeah, I got like 2 jobs at once, and anyway, life changed really quickly for me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I will get your orders out too. I apologize for falling behind on that, but my whole focus has changed. And towards the end there of my unemployment, I think I was kind of losing my mind a little bit, but in a good way. But at the same time, I didn't get any of the work out that I needed to. Let's see what else. I need a new job outside the box mentorship. I need to find is such hard work for the pay. I've gotten a week off now going to look this week. Yeah, outside the box, it's entirely true. You have to get completely, like you said, outside the box. You have to get like exactly what you're looking for. But the hustle culture is fucking bullshit, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, like you end up spending 90 hours a week to make what you could be making 40 hours a week working as a fucking admin assistant. It's fucking bullshit, and it's rigged. It's bullshit on purpose for billionaires. It's not. It's a fucking scam, and it takes advantage of poor people to keep people poor. And it's just part of that whole grind, and you got to get out of the whole grind. It's they've got you chasing donuts fucking on a string. That's bullshit, and I was part of it, and that's where it comes from. At the same time, grind culture, grind technique, grind dedication, grind skill sets applied to something that you're harmonious with or interested in. Like if you grind yourself on what you're really super into, it presents opportunities. You find things fall into place for you in ways you didn't expect. Okay, I'm talking about how I wanted to be an AI prompt engineer, and next thing you know, I ended up in positions to understand how AI works in ways that nobody else seems to fucking get, in ways that makes me very useful with it. Whatever. And that's not what AI says. That's what humans have told me. That's what I'm getting paid for. So whatever. It's because I have a grind set mindset, when it comes to producing my desired results, right? But you got to get out of the hustle and jive game, the hustle mindset, and the whole bullshit. Anyway, yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll try to go over the materials in the next couple shows, but for now the videos are available. I will make those publicly available instead of members only. Right now I think they're confined to members only, but I'm going to make those available and make sure all the documents are available for each of those things. Do take a look at them. It's for transformation. Okay, this is not for profit. This is for free. It's for I hope that what happens is, like, if 100 people do it and 25 people experience what I have experienced, I think that would be pretty good. I think that would be fine. I expect a lot more, and I expect even more, and even more after that. But that's to be seen. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, take a look at the link in the comments. That's all I got. We'll see. Hands yellow, red. I would love to share with you on my channel. So I sell around, but I'd be happy to. Agatha, hi. Hustle culture is a scam? I think so, yeah. The same TV, so. Anyway, okay. All right, guys, I'm going to go to bed. I am